Welcome back, my YouTube family. Hope you guys are doing well. I know it's been a little bit since I last posted, but I'm going to be posting a lot more videos more frequently in the upcoming weeks. And first, we're going to start off with an awesome squat day. Now, not a lot has changed as far as the structure of my workouts since we last checked in together. But we are changing some of the exercises and the focuses. So last block or last training cycle, I was very focused on a camber barred squat. This upcoming training cycle, though, I'm very focused on a safety bar squat. And I actually did very well this week and beat an old PR of mine. But before we get to that, I'm going to take you through the warm-up. What we got here is 425 on the bar. Now the safety squat bar, it makes the weight pitched a little bit more forward, making the biomechanics of the lift a little bit more like a front squat versus like a high bar squat or a low bar back squat. So what does that mean? What it means is that I'm going to be a little bit more upright and a little bit more emphasis is going to be put on my quads instead of necessarily like something like my glutes, right? In the low bar squat. What we got here is the Elite FTS yoke bar. It's 65 pounds, so it's about 20 pounds heavier than your standard power bar. And I'm doing 425 for my last warm-up set here. The one thing I've noticed about the safety bar squat is actually you do get a good emphasis on the glute, because what happens when you're a little bit more upright, you tend to go down a little farther. When you go down a little farther, you're going to get a bigger stretch in the glutes and the quads, but you're going to get a bigger stretch in the glutes. So sometimes after some of these sets, I can feel like the fibers of my glute very activated. I can feel them while I lift. Same thing goes with the quads here. The one thing I will say about the safety bar squat is make sure when you're going under the bar that the handles are pointed away from you. So for instance, if I were to walk straight forward and the handles were to hit me in the chest before the neck pad of the bar, I have the bar facing the wrong way. You want those handles pointed away from you. And this way, the bar will sit comfortably on your shoulders. If the handles are pointed towards you, the bar is going to want to ride up into your neck. And I've actually had a friend hurt himself because he didn't know how to use the bar correctly, and the weights kind of pitched forward and kind of bothered his low back because he was not used to it. Right, so it's something to watch out. 425, move very well, nice depth. I notice I hit depth a lot easier on the safety bar squat than something like the low bar squat. And again, this is because I'm a little bit more upright with the movement. So this workout calls for an RP of 7, 8, 9. So ascending weights within the workout, 3 sets of 3. And when we're doing this, an RP of 7 would mean about a 7 out of 10 difficulty, 8 would mean an 8 out of 10 difficulty, 9 would mean about a 9 out of 10 difficulty. Another way we can gauge this is how many reps left do we have in the tank. I've got 1 rep left in the tank, 10 minus 1 is 9, that's an RP of 9. 3 reps left in the tank, 10 minus 3 is 7, that's an RP of 7. All right, so the first set, RP 7, is going to be 585. Always focusing on the brace, hitting that depth and exploding through. It's very important. It's so critically important that when you lift with intensity, okay? Yes, we need to make sure the technique is correct. Yes, we need to be doing the exercises appropriately. But once we have learned the technique, and a lot of times these movements, a squat, bench, and deadlift, they're not that technical. They're a little bit more technical the more serious you take powerlifting and things like that. But overall, they're not nearly as technical as something like a clean and jerk or a snatch. Or if we take it even more, like they're not as technical as you need to be if you're boxing or something like that, right? Where those fine movements matter a little bit more. This is training our gross movement pattern. So with that, what we're training here is total body strength, lower body strength in this case with the safety bar squats. So we need to attack with the utmost intensity and ferocity that we can, okay? So every single rep, we need to put 110% into it. It doesn't mean we should be acting like a fool, but we need to make sure we're lifting with purpose. If you go there and kind of dog shit the exercise, you're gonna be wasting time in the gym. Next, we got 605 for 3. This was my previous 3 rep max. from a few months ago, and I hit it for an 8. I was very happy with it. Focusing in front of me, my eyes get big, I focus on one point in front of the wall. This is important. You don't want to be, if you're lifting maximal weight, you need to be focused on one singular point in front of you. If your head is moving, your eyesight is moving, then what's going to happen is your attention is going to be diverted away from what you're doing. So you're probably not going to be outputting as much force. The next we got 615, which would be a triple PR for me. Stabilize, big belly breath, and brace, exploding through. Next, we got drop lunges or reverse lunges with 150s. The program called for 160 for sets of 6, but I didn't have 160s. My gym only goes up to 150s. And with this exercise, and a lot of times you don't see people training a ton of unilateral movement in the programming. Or when they do, they it's usually kind of like almost like a warm-up exercise where they don't go very heavy with it or something like that. The reason the unilateral movement is very important, something like Bulgarian split squats or single leg dumbbell RDLs, is because it trains your hip to stabilize in a different way than a bilateral movement, like something like a squat, where you're using, both legs are doing the same thing, right? So we got drop lunges here. What we're doing is we're not only training the glutes, we're not only training the quads, but we're also training the ability for my hip to stabilize with one leg doing something and the other leg doing something else. Now, the technique here might be, I can see how it can be up for criticism. The reason I'm kind of leaning forward so much, I'm putting so much tension on that front leg, is because when I don't do this, sometimes it bothers my knees. So I really have to focus on keeping that tension on the front leg for these exercises to feel really good and for me to move some significant weight. Next, we got neck extensions. Now, a lot of people don't train their neck, and it's fine. I didn't train my neck for a very long time. You do get some stimulus with things like shrugs and things like deadlifts, but if you want to take your training a little bit more seriously and you want to train to get a stronger, bigger neck, then you have to make sure you put some focus and intention behind that training. So things like neck extensions and neck flexions are going to be important. Now, you don't have to do a ton of sets per week when you're first starting out. Right now, I'm only doing 3 sets a week. I'm doing 2 sets a week on neck extensions. So I'm doing 2 sets of 35 reps here with a 45-pound plate. And then I do 3 sets of neck flexions. Obviously, again, like I said, your neck will get some training when we're doing things like shrugs and deadlifts and carries and everything like that with the trap. Now, the reason we're doing neck work, 2 reasons. One, a thicker neck looks much more masculine. And the other thing is I always think, hey, listen, we need to prepare to be the most resilient we can. So if something like a car accident happens, I need to headbutt a guy or I get punched in the face, a stronger neck is going to prevent concussions and going to give you more power, right? So train your neck. When you're doing your neck training, though, it is important that we don't have to take everything to maximal failure, right? When we're doing bicep curls and we take everything to like an RP11, it's not going to be the worst case for a lot of people, right? It's not that fatiguing. It's good stimulus. You can probably do it out every day if you wanted to. But with the neck extensions, because it is a sensitive area, we don't want to go to absolute failure all the time. We want to make sure we're smart with our training. So we want to get a good amount of tension, get a pump in there, perform the exercise with purpose and with good technique, and don't do anything crazy. All right, next we have seated leg hamstring curl. Now the seated leg hamstring curl is great because it puts the most amount of stretch onto the hamstring. We're getting the hamstring towards our hip stretched out because I'm sitting more upright, and of course we're getting the hamstring towards the knee most stretched out because we're extending it fully and then contracting. Now if I were to critique myself here, I would want to go extend my leg a little bit more and put a small pause at the top there. This is my third set, and frankly my quality of the exercise could have been better. But you know, everything's a learning experience, and you got to critique yourself when you're lifting too to get better. All right, the last exercise we're doing is lying leg raises. I train core about 3 times a week. I'm not training the core super intense. I don't always go to absolute failure with my ab work or anything like that. The lying leg raises, I do 3 sets of 20, 60-second rest in between, and I get some good tension throughout the abs. I'm training my ability to brace and stabilize my core as I go through a movement, and I do the same. The other core training I do throughout the week is planks, weighted planks. And again, the goal there is to be able to stabilize the core and train the core to be able to support the torso, support your trunk. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. And I'm excited to be back filming for you guys, creating content. If you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and if you're interested in taking your training to the next level, go to tankstrengthcoaching.com and let's talk.